Hi, everyone. Welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zola, your host and the CEO of P3 Tech Consulting. We are in a month that we've dedicated to this theme of global leaders, sponsored by Viasat. And today we have the absolute privilege of having with us Jake Lahmann from Valmont. So when you think about global leaders, these folks are all over the place, and Jake has been really on the cutting edge of drone technology in support of Valmont's mission. So let's go ahead and dive right in. By the way, Jake is a friend to the show. He was on, I'm going to say, Jake, was it last December? And, he was also more recently on our live stream from the Energy Drone and Robotics Coalition Summit, where Valmont was our sponsor of that stream. So if you missed either one of those, go back and check it out. But let's focus now on Jake. So Jake, for those that don't know you, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, and Don, thanks for having me here on the show. It's always good to be with you and your team. Yeah, a quick little background on myself. I have had really the privilege of working with drones since 1999. I started doing imaging and connectivity payloads for drones, of course, in the defense industry back then. Worked with all the popular names. And when drones started to commercialize in the 2011, 2012 timeframe, I got into the world of public safety, developing complete solutions, some 3D systems for crime scene forensics. And then, Valmont found me about 6 years ago and said, hey, we need somebody to formalize to start a program here at Valmont for infrastructure, and jumped right into that. And since then, been developing both services for infrastructure and then the technology that is not available on the shelf. We've built it in-house to go out there and provide some pretty unique services.
Well, awesome. We're going to talk about all of that, but before we do, let's talk a little bit about Valmont.
Yeah.
So tell us, what Valmont is all about. You mentioned
hmm
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Uh, I think we also have a video, so maybe it's a good time to roll that. You can walk us
Yeah.
through this.
Yeah, you bet. On the video reel, you're going to see a lot of what I really like about Valmont. That it would be the drone side of things. If you walk in the door at utilities or telecommunication companies or Department of Transportations and ask them who Valmont is, they're going to talk about all the steel structures that we make and the concrete structures to deliver power and to make our cell phones work and for the signal lights to be supported at intersections. And Valmont has been doing that for the past 78 years. We're in over 100 countries around the world. We have 11,000 wonderful people in those countries. And we're pretty good at it. We managed to get around a $6 billion market cap with all that. My group inside of Valmont, we're called the Valmont Infrastructure Services. We provide the asset management services to those different markets, and of course, drones are a huge part of that.
I love that. Video is still rolling here, but while it's rolling, I'm going to nerd out and just throw a couple more statistics at our audience here. We're talking 84 manufacturing facilities.
hmm
Valmont ranks in the Fortune 1000. They have 31 distinct brands. Fun fact, at least for me, their governance board includes 30% female board members.
Yep.
Uh, they have 4.2 billion in annual sales, at least last year, and a rich legacy of resource conservation and societal improvement over the last 78 years. So, wow. I mean, this company is a behemoth. This is why it made a heck of a lot of sense for Jake and Valmont to be on Global Leaders Month with us. And I'm super excited to talk about this drone piece and how, Jake, they found you
Hmm.
with your rich background in defense and public safety and being on the forefront of drone technology. They found you to start their program. We saw a lot of drones in that video.
Yep.
So let's back up and say what problems were
Hmm.
Valmont were they trying to solve in hiring you and
Hmm.
looking towards kind of drone technology?
Yeah. Great question, Don. The trigger point for Valmont being very interested in drones. One is just the general atmosphere of innovation at Valmont. We see it coming out in all of our structures that we build. We meet some pretty big challenges. Aside from that, that culture is a specific need. Valmont has been doing inspections and asset management since about 2001. But anything aloft, they were, having to put climbers up, pretty high, and get these enormous cranes to go out and do inspections, which had a significant impact on the environment. A 90-ton crane rolling across a crop field is going to do some damage.
Yeah.
And then you put people aloft in those kind of environments. There's a lot of risk there. And for other practical matters, it's also very expensive. And somebody had the bright idea at Valmont, hey, let's see what drones can do for us, versus having to put people aloft. And they gave me a call. We did some tests, and sure enough, we were able to meet the needs, make all the engineers happy with the inspections we could perform, and the rest is wonderful history.
Well, it is. And Jake, my memory of the first time I met you was I was doing, I'm going to say, a white paper. And I
Hmm.
feel like it was for, at the time, Iris Automation,
Yes.
who's now
Yeah.
kind of been subsumed into UAvionics, right? John Damisch
Hmm.
as the president of UAvionics. And it was all about the use case of drones for inspections. And
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, someone gave me your name and said, this guy Jake Lahmann, that you need to talk to from Valmont. And I remember interviewing you for that white
Hmm.
paper, and you describing essentially the cherry pickers or the buckets that these
Hmm.
folks had to go in. And when you think about the 3Ds, dull, dirty, dangerous jobs, you're absolutely right. Drones are such a force multiplier that
Yeah.
keep people safe. And so let me ask you this, because you mentioned culture,
Hmm.
and you and I had also talked at Energy Drone a little bit. It's kind of also hard to change the culture of engineers, of people that are
Hmm.
used to doing these inspections a certain way. When you had this, when Valmont had this bright idea and brought you on board, what challenges did you face to
Hmm.
implement drones into this global, operation? Let's start with the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah. Yeah, there was probably three really big buckets of challenges, and one is that we face today is cybersecurity,
Oh yeah,
and we did find some great solutions even back in 2018 to encrypt and encapsulate. Um, the other, there was some apprehension about drones flying around critical infrastructure.
right.
Is it going to harm it? What's going to happen? And those are legit concerns. If a drone took out, say, a substation, hundreds of thousands of people could be without power. But really, where the biggest fuss was the engineers being satisfied that visual testing methods could be applied to meet long-held industry standards for doing inspection. And so it was easily a year of just testing and doing proof of concepts showing how the visual testing data could be just as accurate as a hands-on inspection, or using other methods like magnetic particle testing and ultrasonic testing. And we were able to do that, and satisfy them, and we haven't looked back since, and it's been a great journey.
Well, since 2019, the technology has evolved significantly, but not just the drone hardware. And I know you guys created
Mhm.
your own drone. What was it called? It
Yeah.
was like the Dragon. What is it?
The water dragon.
The Water
Yeah,
Dragon.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that was
yeah,
a very specific use case
yeah,
to
yeah.
clean,
Hmm.
right? That was
Yes.
so cool. But tell us a little bit about the innovative technologies
Hmm.
that have contributed to this, let's say, the turning of the tide, if you will, culturally, for those that you work with at Valmont and
Hmm.
beyond when it comes to inspections.
Yeah. Uh, one of the probably one of the recent things, Don, that we've worked on that might be of interest, to your audience, especially, is inside the utility space.
Yeah,
And there's an example of a utility transmission structure. Those lines that utilities have for transmission are they're hundreds, thousands of miles long. They're
wow,
it, they're it's massive. There's 700,000 miles of it here in the U.S. And because of those distances, utilities have been more apt to use helicopters to do the inspection. They look at drones and drone teams, and from their understanding, those drone teams can do 5 or 10 miles a day, versus a helicopter being able to do 150 miles plus a day.
right,
And the economics, if you pare all that down, it's more affordable for utilities historically to use helicopters. Um,
right,
and because of that, Don, utilities, to some degree, hasn't even wanted to entertain the question of using drones for system-wide inspection.
okay.
Yep. That's been one of the biggest changes, I think, is to get that adoption culturally, and of course, it's been a great deal of education on our part and my contemporaries inside the industry to see that change happen.
So, I guess what you're saying, Jake, is it's one thing to inspect like a discrete tower or
Hmm.
something in a very small location.
Yeah,
The sensors have improved, and we can talk about those here in a second.
yeah.
The hardware, the batteries, all that. But it's just beyond visual line of sight, just like
Hmm.
and for virtually every other possible market use case for drones,
Hmm.
that has been kind of the holdup.
Yes.
Not only the ability to do it, but regulatory wise. You recently had a huge success on that front, though, Jake. I
Hmm.
know it's been a long time in coming, but let's brag
Yeah,
about this thing.
yeah.
So tell us about it.
Yeah, yeah. So Don, I've been on that train, and trying to find an answer, to give a proper option to helicopters. You and I and the folks on your team and everybody listening. We've been dreaming about the day where we can have an option to manned aviation. We're always going to need it, but we want that other choice.
Yeah.
Um, so what we have been working on, it is really two big pieces of technology. One is the drone itself. With the hybrid technology, the drone can fly for 4+ hours at a time with no payload, and then artificial intelligence. One of the having the drone be more autonomous, combined with the hybrid technology and long range, we were able to do 183 miles of transmission line inspection in one day.
Holy shnikes. So first of all, what drone were we looking at there?
That was a heavily modified Harris drone that we had custom built for Valmont, and then of course the payload that goes with it that was developed in house here at Valmont.
183 miles in one shot.
Yeah.
I don't know of anybody that's done anything as significant or longer, right? At least as of today. Do you?
I do not, and there's not really a Guinness Book of World Records for the drone industry yet. Perhaps somebody needs to go off and do that, but no, I'm not aware of it. Now, granted, military drones can fly an incredible amount of time, but for commercial drones, doing inspection. And keep in mind, we got to gather the appropriate photos on each one of those structures of that 183 miles. No, I don't think anybody has ever done that before.
All right, so wait a minute, hold on one second. I'm thinking, again, this is different. Skyfront has done something pretty significant with, now I feel like, I don't recall if they have a hydrogen or a gas, kind of a hybrid drone, but I know they did like 13 hours, maybe like, 100, 200 miles. But regardless, like, let's put it this way.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of drones out there doing this, and you used a modified, was it Harris Aerial? Is that what you just said?
That's correct. Yeah.
So absolutely incredible, and for this very specific purpose of inspection. So let's talk about. You said you had an in-house sensor. Is that what you just said? Or in-house technology to facilitate that?
Yes, yeah. So that technology, Don, the first challenge that we wanted to solve for leveraging artificial intelligence is to give the drone more autonomy. You and I have been at it for a while, and of course our audience members know that we've been able to automate drones for a long time. Be able to program a mission and the drone goes executes. The challenge inside the utility industry is that they'll give us locations of all the structures, and theoretically we could program the drone to go fly to each one of those structures, but they're never in the right spot. So if we would program it to go execute a mission, it might be taking pictures of a cow pasture.
Okay, not helpful.
Yeah, yes. So we developed the autonomy inside the drone to where it can actually sense the structures, sense the power lines, and the drone on its own will override any mission to nudge it left, right, up, down. So it has perfect alignment with the infrastructure, and can easily execute the mission. And that was the huge shift that made it possible, in addition to the hybrid technology like from Harris and Skyfront. And then of course we went further with the camera system to where not only can it sense that for navigation, but also to capture the right data. Utilities are very negative about the data. They want the right framing so they can inspect things consistently, and we developed that ability to gather just the right photos that is needed for inspection.
Well, number one, it's all about the data. We know this.
Yes.
But number two, this is a compliance issue. I mean, not to kind of put too fine a point on this, but this is why you're doing these inspections, why historically helicopters have been used. It's not a nice do, it's a must do. It has to be done right. So Jake, this 183 miles, we'll talk about the data in a second.
Yeah.
Let's just hypothetically say next year or this year, you have to do this flight again. I imagine you know, that data needs to be lasered onto that same exact kind of location. This
Yes.
artificial intelligence you're talking about in-house that you've created to sense the structure,
Hmm.
will it on the next similar run
Hmm.
then also sense that exact same spot so that you have kind of an apples to apples comparison?
Yeah. Yeah, there's two ways that we can manage that, Don, and that's a great observation on your point. Having that consistent data, we can do then very good change analysis. Um, but we can once we fly it the first time, one of the things that we do with the data is actually extract the metadata and develop a new map for the utilities. So
Oh,
when we're
wow. Okay.
when we're done with our inspection, we hand that back to the utilities so that they know precisely where their structures are at. And so we could either just use the autonomy we developed the next year, or we could in fact automate it the following year as well.
Okay, wow, that's amazing. Well, during the flight, you know, everybody talks about data
Hmm.
at the edge or edge computing and, you
Yeah.
know, throw out all the terms.
Hmm.
I mean, the amount of data that
Yeah.
you must be collecting across 183 miles. Like, how do you actually manage that?
Yeah.
Is it cloud-based? I mean, I assume
Hmm.
there's not an SD card that's like collecting all of this along the way that you have to pop out
Yeah.
of the drone. I mean, how does it work?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we wanted to get away from the SD card.
Yeah.
It's there, but we don't want our pilots to touch it.
Yeah.
Um, the and on a side note, Don, we as much as possible we try and limit our pilots having to touch the data. Anytime us people touch data, it messes it up. So avoiding that, but also just the sheer volume, managing that. We worked with T-Mobile to pioneer the use of 5G on drones, and T-Mobile, to brag on those guys a little bit, they developed what they call 5G extended. It's a very low frequency 5G versus some of the others out there that are very high frequency. And the benefit of that, Don, is we can operate in those rural areas like you see in some of those pictures, and to get that bandwidth that we all enjoy from 5G technologies. So as that 183-mile flight happened, the entire day, that drone is pushing data back to the cloud, to our power shift, to where the inspectors can do their thing in near real time.
Okay, wow. So the 5G, I imagine, Jake, is also a piece of your C2, your command and control, as well as the kind of that data pipeline, or a piece of that data
Hmm.
pipeline. Okay.
Yes, it is a backup. We also do have point-to-point communications for C2. And we're furthering to experiment with 5G C2, and also we're looking at satellite to do command and control as well.
Well, we got Viasat as our month
That's
sponsor, so there you
that,
go.
that's right.
I know you guys were talking at the EDR summit.
Yep.
Super cool. So you just mentioned a term I want to make sure that we you know, focus on a little bit. I know we talked about in the last show, but you know, talk to us a little bit about power shift,
Hmm.
what it is, what it does.
Yeah. Power shifts. So that is something that we developed in house as well. And like many other things, we couldn't find what we needed off the shelf, so we went and built it. We hired a development team away from Apple to get this done, and it is built specifically for asset management, leveraging UAS technologies. I mean, we can incorporate other technologies, but it's really tuned well for that. To do those geolocation corrections, to make the data really nice, and to also manage the workflows that happen with inspection. So we bring in our non-destructive technicians, our engineers, our linemen. They're able to see all those images, make their annotations, and then that rolls up. You saw a little map there with all different colors for the structures. That rolls up to that report to where utilities or telecommunications companies can see their portfolio of assets and very easily understand what risk they have with their assets and make those maintenance, make the financial decisions that they need to make infrastructure work for us as customers.
Okay. Jake, you crack me up because you're so understated. You're like, oh yeah, we hired away this team from Apple, just like to create our software. So I get two questions. First is, this proprietary
Yeah.
software, the autonomy or the
Hmm.
AI you've kind of generated in-house.
Yeah.
Are these things that Valmont is collaborating or looking to
Hmm.
share with other companies
Yeah.
globally, since you've done all the hard work?
Hmm.
Uh, Conversely, question two, are you looking to collaborate with companies maybe doing stuff so you can stop maintaining, for example, your own in-house, whatever
Yeah.
it is, whether, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, Don. We're always open to collaboration and partnerships, and I think there's some really unique things that we can do. Some of my colleagues that are providing services generically with drones may not have inspection capabilities,
Mm.
and one thing that we can do for them to help them out in the industry, they can connect in the power shift, and we can help manage their data and for their deliverables to their customers, and also leverage our inspectors capability because a lot of these infrastructure entities, they do want certified inspectors for non-destructive testing and engineering, et cetera. And we can deliver that. So if there's a wonderful drone team that's great at capturing data, but they don't have that analysis capability, we can definitely help them out. Uh,
So Jake, is that like consulting, or do you kind of in bulk like provide the actual service, or
mhm.
both?
I would say the latter would be our typical preference, and we do provide that service to partners today that are out collecting data. Even some helicopter organizations that capture data. We'll do the analysis piece and package that up. Provide those reports in PowerShift that they can then deliver to their customer. And so we'll act as a subcontractor in that case.
Okay, okay. And then what about the kind of the software, that autonomy that you created?
Hmm.
Sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We mentioned it very much in passing, really focused
Yeah.
in on a lot in the last show. Your water dragon
Hmm.
that has this unique sprayer that can like clean power lines and clean some of this infrastructure,
Yeah.
because sediment can pile on there, and that could be a problem.
Hmm.
Um, do you sell that to people, or again, is this more like a
Yeah.
service model?
Yeah. That is that, Don. That's a wonderful question. That's something that we're actually considering right now. Because even some of our customers inside of infrastructure organizations are setting up their drone teams, and there's some excellent examples that I can turn to, and a lot of great folks, but they may not have that technology, and that is something that we are considering to license out. Um, and of one of the things that I'm currently considering, and I'd love a conversation with folks on it, would be taking that autonomy that we built for long range drones, and may potentially license that out as a payload system for their drones, to where they can get the long range benefits as along with wonderful data. that is, precisely what utilities need.
I got like 50 companies in my mind that talk to you, Jake. Not only that, but like then my brain goes to DIU and what they're looking to do for the DoD. Yes, they've got the big Reapers and Preds, but like you and I both know, commercial off-the-shelf drones have been the name of the game for a little bit now. And the cybersecurity you mentioned, point one, the long distance, point two, you're solving some key problems here, or you've already solved them that others are already looking for. And I think that's amazing. And, when you think about global leadership also, Jake, besides the software, the hardware, let's call them TTPs, tactics, techniques and procedures to do these missions, you personally and Valmont have been on the forefront of advocating for global standards for drone inspections of the telecom industry in particular. So you mentioned this previously in our last show, but you've made some progress. So tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, you bet. And to recap just a bit for your audience, Don, one of the things, as I came into the world of infrastructure, I looked at cell towers, and it was so obvious to me that drones would be wonderful to do comm tower inspections. But as I reached out to the industry, they were very apprehensive about drones. Is it going to mess up our radios, and can it do inspections effectively? And through a series of tests, we crashed drones in the towers. We did studies on that.
That's my Home Alone phase.
Yeah, it was quite fun. But all in the name of science. And we, several of us from the team worked inside of telecom committees, worked inside of the NATE organization and TIA specifically to get the standards changed. In October.
And Jay, can you explain what NATE is, the acronym?
Yeah, NATE originally stands for the National Association of Tower Erectors. So it's the construction group of telecom, and the TIA is Telecommunications Industry Association. And so October of last year, Don, shortly before you and I spoke, we got the standards changed, and which allowed drones to be used inside of telecom. So wonderful, great for Valmont, great for the industry. Since then, we have been busy doing proof of concepts to actually apply those standards and working out the details of making sure that we're delivering a good replacement to somebody actually climbing up a tower and doing what they do and looking at the different things and packaging that up in a way that matches the engineering workflows inside a telecom. And we have some big strategic customers that we're doing those POCs with, and some partners like FieldSync and Consilience to shore up some of the technology. And we're doing those POCs, and we're going to share it with the world.
I'm sorry, POC, proof of concept.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, in the military, POC is a point of contact.
Yes.
So yeah. I'm like, all right, okay.
Sorry about that, Don.
No worries. But speaking of your POCs, proofs of concept, and working with NATE and the SIAA folks, you're doing another event this year, right? Where you might hypothetically be crashing drones into towers again. Tell us like a little bit about this event, why it's important, how people might be able to get involved in it if they have interest.
Yep. So we are doing the event again this year. It is a question mark as to whether or not we'll crash drones again.
Okay.
But the main thesis of the event is for us technology types to meet with the engineering and the construction types inside of telecommunications and to collaborate. and it's a great opportunity, for folks like you and me, Don, to really hear what different industries actually need, and to make sure that we're crafting the technologies, the services, to hopefully delightfully meet those needs. And it's an opportunity I would encourage anybody to attend, whether you're in telecom or whether you're a drone person. Come join us at the events here in Omaha.
And do you have info on that, like date,
Yep.
location, times? Okay.
Yep, September 24th and 25th. And if you want to sign up, you can reach out to me at LinkedIn, but the easy place to go is natehome.org, NATE home.org. And there will be an event page there. We did change the name. It used to be called UAV Expo, but now it's called Emerging Tech Expo. And easy to sign up and become a member of. Would encourage you to become a member of NATE as well.
Okay, well, that's great. I love these hyper focused groups. This is
Mm-hmm.
one with telecoms in particular. I mean, I think a little bit broader, but still so laser locked is the energy drone folks.
Yeah.
Telecom is a piece of what they do, but they got a big O&G crowd, oil and gas, and
Mm-hmm.
the nuclear folks.
Yes.
So really, really awesome what you're doing there and leading the way globally. We're almost at the end of our time, Jake. So I want to make sure, I feel like something I kind of missed along the way because we've been talking in broad terms, that ROI, right?
Mm-hmm.
That return on investment, because we talked about helicopters, expensive, but
Yeah.
didn't give any numbers. We talked about danger, but didn't really get granular.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to kind of close out the show on the importance of drone technology and what it is you do at Valmont,
Yeah.
uh, and so people understand. And then, of course, please let us know like what else you have coming up besides this really
Mm-hmm.
interesting emerging tech expo that you're helping facilitate at the end of September, and how else we can find you.
Yeah, you bet, Don. And speaking of those other issues, and benefits about drones, I did publish a white paper. You can find it on my LinkedIn profile, and I did a really deep dive on the economics, the safety, and the environmental aspects or benefits of drones versus helicopters. Yes, very passionate, and also highlighted some cons. To where drones are not beneficial, but by and large, the study shows that drones are they're the way to go. They're definitely the way of the future. Um, for upcoming events, Don, I'm going to see you at a commercial UAV expo. I mentioned the NATE Emerging Tech Expo. We're going to be of course, drones are going to be an important part of it, but we're also going to look at some of the adjacent technologies used for asset management, like ground penetrating radar. Of course, photogrammetry will be a topic, LiDAR will be a topic, and potentially, many other things. Looking at some of the technologies to improve the life of structures. And so it's going to be a pretty exciting event. Other than that, it's going to be a series of other industry shows. We're doing a lot of outreach to the utilities like IEEE communities, and evangelizing drones there as well. But if anybody has any questions or want to reach out to me, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn.
All right, that's excellent. And fun fact, Jake, one of the actually kind of my start in this industry in some respects was with IEEE
Mm-hmm.
of all groups. There was a professor up in Denver, Dr. Kimon Valvanis ran
Mm-hmm.
this uh, international conference on UAS, and
Mm-hmm.
he and I met when I was still in the Air Force, and we got to talking, and I started bringing some policy content to a very, it's an IEEE event,
Yep.
very technical, scientific
Mhm.
papers being presented.
Yeah.
And that really inspired really kind of my business at the end of the day, and my Law
Mhm.
Tech Connect workshop that I do. So, IEEE is such a great organization. I love that you're
Indeed.
involved with that and these other very important standards bodies, to help move the industry forward, because without those standards, without these conversations, without the entire ecosystem, as you said, those adjacent technologies, all
Yep.
those people being at the table, we can't move forward. So thanks
That's
for
right.
everything you're doing, Jake, as a global leader. The technologies you've not only created, but the standards you helped create, all really critical. So thank you so
Yeah.
much, and very much looking forward to seeing you in person again. But go ahead.
Likewise.
I'm gonna cede the floor to you, Jake, for the last 2 minutes here of the show. And thank you again.
Well, Don, thank you, and I'm just so privileged to have the opportunity to work at Valmont. They give me opportunity to dive into all these different markets and experiment with technology to make all this magic happen, and it's quite fun, and I'm lucky to get paid to do it as well. But yeah, I enjoyed the visit, Don. I would probably end with just saying that anybody that's listening or watching, at Valmont, our team, asset management services inside of Valmont, we're very open to collaboration, and we definitely want to work with folks to help develop some of those standards. If there's technologies or services that we can help your team be successful, we'd love to have that conversation. And so please do reach out to me on LinkedIn or via valmont.com, and we look forward to that conversation.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jake. Again, great visiting with you. Thank you,
Likewise.
everybody out there, for listening. Global Leaders Month. We are out here.